from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same. Your name is worthy, worthy to be praised. Overtaken, overtaken, overtaken by your warm embrace. Overtaken, overtaken, overtaken by your warm embrace. You fill me with your love. Wipe my tears away. Now I can see what you have for me. New mercies you will provide. All the grace I need. Overtaken, overtaken, overtaken by your warm embrace. Overtaken, overtaken, overtaken by your warm embrace. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Marketplace Pastors Podcast. I'm your host, the Marketplace Pastor Chai, like the tea. And today is a very special conversation because it's October and it's both Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I'm calling this the Pink and Purple Grace episode, period. Okay. That's right. Pink represents breast cancer awareness and purple represents domestic violence awareness. And together they remind us of two different but often connected journeys of survival and hope. And today, joining me in the boardroom for this amazing conversation is a really good friend of mine, someone who I've come to know and to love over the last several years. And we're going to talk today about how God's grace carried us both through and how Jeremiah 29:11 has anchored both of our lives. You know, right? Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And today we want you to hear not only our stories, but we want you to see how his word is still speaking in our lives. And hopefully there's something that we can say on today that will bring an anchor to your life no matter what you are facing. So today I am so honored to be joined by my co-host, Miss Raquel Hill. Raquel is a multi-hyphenate, creative, business executive, and servant-hearted leader with over 25 years of experience in business, nonprofits, and community development. She's passionate about empowering young people, uplifting communities, and helping organizations rebrand and thrive. So from Clarksdale to Seattle, Raquel has worked on major community initiatives and supported nonprofits like the Launchpad, ATL, Women University, and Kindred Healing Center. She has also played a key role in rebranding the Atlanta Black Chambers, where she now serves as the chair of the Arts and Entertainment Committee. As a breast cancer survivor and a true game changer, Raquel brings creativity, strategy, and heart into everything that she does. So whether it's mentoring leaders or strengthening small businesses or building strong communities, she knows how to make things happen. And when she's not leading, you'll find Raquel in dance class, in her garden, or spending time with her son Cameron. Her motto is she can do anything she puts her mind to. So without further ado, drum roll please. Pew, 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 pew. Miss Raquel Hill, come on in the room. Come on, girl, in the room. Come on, girl.
Hey, hey, hey.
I'm trying to even remember how we met. It's been a couple of years, I know for sure. I don't know if it was at a chamber event or if it was at the Russell Center or if it was somewhere else. Do you remember like our first encounter with each other?
I was thinking that the same thing, but I don't.
Oh,
I
you know
don't.
what it
Yeah.
was?
What was it?
It was FUK or FKFU. How you spell it?
You just take the U and the C out, so it's FCK P and K. But I knew you before. I thought I knew you before that. So you just bought a ticket and just kind of showed up.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I feel like that was the first time that we really became acquainted. And maybe we saw each other in community somewhere randomly, but I felt like when I came to your show, that's when I really got to see you. You know how some people meet you, but they don't really see you. So when I came to your show, I saw you and I was like, oh, she's my friend, right? And, from there, we were able to exchange pleasantries and stories and just like, we got to do something together one year. And of course, you came and supported the benefit concert last year with poetry. And I'm so grateful for you for that. And I know there's going to be plenty of opportunities for us to do stuff in October, wherever we are in the world, right? Doing our thing. But I'm just grateful to have you here today, like for sure.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here as well. So if we met during the play, that was in 2022, so that was 3 years ago.
So
Right.
just take us back, right? What was it like, first of all, before we even get to the show? What was it like for you, if you can just go back into that place to hear those words, you have cancer? And in that moment, how did your faith carry you through the initial diagnosis and then the subsequent treatment that you had to go through from there?
Okay. I wanted a breast reduction. And I was, if you go to my Instagram page, I put my journey out there, you'll see that I have like sausage fingers. And I used to feel bad about, talking about how big I was, because a lot of people would be like, well, you're skinny, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, for my frame, that was big, right? I usually carried about 125 pounds. I was carrying 175 pounds. I wasn't feeling it anywhere, because if you see photos of me, I'm happy, I'm smiling. I think my love life I was being loved on. I had a job that I really liked, but like my bras were just getting too small. And I came to this conclusion, like, you know what? I had all the fun I could with my breasts when I was younger. Now I'm 50. I want to wear some backless stuff. So let me let me start doing the research for a breast reduction. When you go to get a consultation for breast reduction, they ask you to lose weight, because the whole thing is, and you're getting a breast reduction for aesthetic reasons, right? You're getting them because you want pretty boobies. So I've hired a trainer. I changed my lifestyle. I cut a lot of things out of my diet. I put down the vodka, and the weight just came off. A combination of treating myself right and doing that, and lo and behold, I was in the shower and I felt the lump in my left breast. Um, Now, immediately, I wasn't like, I was like, lump in breast. Oh man, I got to get this checked out. And I'm the type of person, if I don't know what it is, I am not going to hold space for panic. We need to know what it is so we can figure out, and then I can see my options and we can take it, take it there. But before that, the thought was, I've never been to Paris. How much money do I have in my bank? Can I go to Paris tomorrow? I don't need to, I just get one way. I just need to go to Paris. I have so much life that I want to live. Like, I can't do this. So, I had this one friend that I talked to, and I told her, I said, yeah, I think I feel a lump. And she was like, Jeremiah 29:11. And she gave me Jeremiah 29:11. And I say she gave it to me because because she did. She was like, here is a script. She was always quoting scriptures, but she said, here is one for you that I'm feeling. And I think what I cling to with Jeremiah 29:11 is that the hope for the future. Like, God got plans for me, so this is just the thing. And not even realizing that even getting cancer was part of the plan. So I can say I felt betrayed because I felt like I was doing all the things, right? And who wants to say to other people? People get cancer because they deserve it. Or so I kind of felt like, oh my God, I got cancer. What did I do wrong? Started analyzing the life and everything. And even I remember telling people, hey, I'm getting ready to go through chemo and radiation. This one girl was like, did you eat meat? I'm like, oh my God. So people have these kinds of things that, like, eating meat had nothing to do with it. Just, I had a rare form of cancer. So basically I was like, I don't want to wear pink. I said, I don't, and it wasn't even that. It's like, I didn't want the stigma, right? I didn't want anybody feeling sorry for me because I think my name is Raquel, right? I rock well. So I was just like, I can't have cancer. There are so many people who look at me as the strong friend. And then you think about the images that are on television and you think about how people look, thin and, their hair is falling out. You think about that. But that wasn't even the bad part. It's just the perception of people who have cancer. Now you have cancer, right? Now you're just like, what did I do? I wasn't smoking. Like, I don't smoke. So I don't know, you just kind of do it. So I was like, FCKP and K. I'm not wearing that color. I don't want to be a part of this sorority. I don't care about Susan G. Komen. I'm not walking in no marathon. I'm just going get my treatment, and then I'm a pretend like this never happened. This too shall pass. But the play came to me in a spoken word piece where I was on the other side of my healing, as when radiation was done and I was done with chemo, and I started to realize, getting choked up, that everything that I thought I lost, which most of it was vanity, it was coming back, but I want to say it was better, or I could appreciate it more. And now you got somebody like a storyteller who lights up a room when she walks in, who's out in the forefront on her way to warrior status for breast cancer, to be able to tell the story about what we really go through. And that's what I think that God, he was like, I need you to just hold this. It's not going to take you out. I just need you to experience it, because there's people out there who need to know that they are not alone. So that's kind of
Right.
how I got here.
For sure, for sure. And I love that. I love that perspective. And of course, when you received the diagnosis and you heard those words, you probably didn't feel that sense of hope initially, right? You said, "Oh my God, I got too much life to live. I got things to do, the vanity, right? All the things." But how would you encourage someone right now, even in this moment, before we even dig into more of the episode, that may have just recently received a cancer diagnosis, or who is currently right now maybe even listening to this podcast episode while they're actually having a treatment? How would you want to encourage them in this moment to get to the other side of healing?
So basically, it all boils down to having a positive mindset. I had to clear my friend list. People wanted to prematurely grieve me. I know I had this one friend. I literally I took pictures just to kind of chronicle the event, and I'm at the hospital with my cousin, and I'm getting my infusion, and I got the little thing next to me with the bags of doom in them, and the port, you can see it there, and I'm smiling, and I posted on social media. I started to do a countdown: 6 more rounds, 5 more rounds, 4 more rounds, we're done. But someone sent back to me and was like, I know that you're in a good space and everything is going well for you, but this makes me sad. Okay, nothing's gonna happen to me, because I'm 100% sure about that. Why are you sad? You think Auntie Raquel's not gonna be here no more? Honey, I might have to stop talking to you while I'm going through my breast cancer thing, and I may have to see you on the other side. I had to make that decision to protect my peace, because somebody's like, if I have cancer and people are sending me, like, I don't know, stuff they Googled on the website, I'm like, I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. I chose to go this route, this journey. But I just knew. I knew cancer wasn't taking me out. I knew. And the chemotherapy and radiation, you do those for precaution so that it doesn't return. My cancer was gone when he plucked it out of my body. And I was very confident about that. But it's funny when you have fatigue and your mind is like, hey, let's do some jumping jacks. Let's run around and do this. And your body's like, girl, you need to sit down. You're like, no, but I have this great idea for a play. And I want to do a ballet. I want to do the whiz. But, and they're like, sit down. And I'm like, this fatigue, man, I got, man, F this. So it was just a lot of like, and I think I wrote it to me holding on to a beautiful life, right? It's such a beautiful life, but sometimes you got to go through it before you realize how awesome, like, how awesome everything is. So,
For sure. And thank you for sharing that. I think mindset is a big part of any journey that we go through. I think it's so easy to take on this victim mindset, this, oh, woe is me, or to take a diagnosis of any sort as a death sentence, or to even see, hardships, that we all must go through as like the end. I remember, when I finally came out of the domestic abuse situation. Now I'm a single mom with two little girls, and I'm in a state, Georgia, away from my family where I knew nobody. And the first thing everybody kept saying is, well, you can come back home. You can come back home. And I was like, I'm not coming back home. I'm going to figure this out. Right. And sometimes you need those safety nets, right, to run back to. But there was something on the inside of me that said, hey, I'm here. And there's got to be a reason that I'm here. I didn't come all this way to like give up and to throw in the towel. And it was during that time of raising those girls by myself that I learned that I had this resilience on the inside of me, and it pulls stuff out of you that you didn't even know that was in there, right? So on one end, you've got this anchor scripture. I just think about even Jeremiah 29:11 was the scripture the Lord gave me after my mother was murdered. So I went through domestic violence twice. First in my childhood at the hands of my stepfather who murdered my mother. And then that's because I wasn't yet aware of how to break a generational cycle. I ended up in that same generational pattern again. And I remember that even though I had overcome that childhood trauma somewhat, right? Holding on to that scripture, but being able to go and pull it back in to say, okay, I'm going through another rough patch again. And I don't understand why I'm walking through this, but I'm going to hold on and believe that clearly there is something that's on the inside of me that is going to be able to inspire and empower another woman who doesn't feel like she can make it. And, being the strong friend, a lot of times, we find ourselves going through things for other people. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why do I have to be the guinea pig? Right. It's like, why I gotta be the one you choose to go through it, right? Well, because you're strong enough, number one, to come out on the other side of it. But number two, to give me the glory for it, right? And to realize that it's not you that brought you through this, but it definitely is me. And so I just love that, God has given us both this anchor scripture to be able to align our lives in the darkest moments, and even subsequent things since then. Just because we survived domestic violence and cancer doesn't mean that we haven't survived other things since then, right? Because baby, life be lifing out here in these streets.
right. I was just thinking that nobody knows, and I'm gonna say this because I think I'm pretty. Nobody knows what it's like to show up and be pretty, and then don't be articulate, right? Don't be more than just boobs. Don't be more than just cute little haircut. Don't be more than sexy, because then you're gonna confuse people. Like, I can't put you in a box because you're smart and you're pretty. I don't know what to do with you. Right now, I call this phase of my life my becoming, and I've made some choices. I didn't know how to put up boundaries. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, oh, I could say no, or oh, in this relationship I could actually tell somebody what I want. I None of that. I was just around here just being I don't know what I was, just like just being a servant to everyone else and never speaking up for what my needs are. So I think it's not just, yes, we overcame domestic violence. Yes, we are no longer, under the cloud of a breast cancer diagnosis, but there's other things that happen like in between all of that that makes us stand where we are right now. I always had this theory because I grew up in a time where everybody said the world was going to end in like 2012 or 2000 the world was going to end, and this was imparted to me at a young age. So I'm like, oh, I'm only going to get to be 30, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get to be 30. Then I turned 30. I hadn't planned beyond that. I was like, what am I supposed to do? So this crazy other thing that happens too is whenever like a celebrity would pass or somebody that I know that's like, she was 37. And I'm like, oh, I'm 40. Okay. So I'm older than her. And then like, she was 65. I was like, okay, so I'm going to make it to, I had to cut all of that out. I'm going to be 90 on a beach, rocking a bikini, just living my full entire life. And I have to kind of open like and embrace the parentheses, embrace the gray, and just be very happy to be a woman and alive and know that, he footprints is real. I look back, I only saw one set. Yeah, because I was carrying you. It's like, oh, I thought I was doing it. But he will tell you, like, when you are chosen, you cannot turn your back on him because he will constantly remind you that you are mine and I got a plan for you. So,
Yes, for
yeah.
sure. Absolutely, absolutely. And that kind of leads to, this whole conversation around grace, right? When you think about the word grace, what does that feel like in your body? What does that look like to you when you think about like the journey of all the things that we have to overcome as women? I just look back and I'm like, I know men have to carry their share load as well, but I'm telling you, sometimes it just seems like women have to go through such tumultuous things and still wake up and be somebody's mama. You know what I mean? And still wake up and go and earn a living to take care of the people that call you mama, right? And
Right.
so when I think about grace, I'll start. When I think about grace, I think about parenting.
Okay.
I don't know why I do, but I do. And I think about grace and parenting because I'll just never forget when my girls got to middle school, right? And so when I left the marriage, they were 4 and 2 years old, and so they were still very little. Elementary school. To me, that's very easy. Those are the very easy years. You just got to play with them, and all that. But when they get to middle school, it's a whole nother girls, baby, girls, honey, hormones and all the things. And I just remember feeling like I just wanted to quit. Like I done
Mhm.
survived childhood trauma. I done survived domestic violence in a marriage. I done survived single parenting all this time. And now I can't survive middle school. And I'll never forget just crying like I cannot do this. That was the time I was like, I'm going back home, right? That was the time I did go back home. And I'll never forget the Lord saying, my grace is sufficient enough for you. You can do this. And so from that moment on, I started taking like these steps day by day with him. And it wasn't easy. I had my coping strategies. I had my coping strategies. They might not have been healthy, but whatever got me through the day. Right? But he was like, you got this grace. I'm like, this grace ain't working today. I need a little something else to kind of get me through the day. Right? But I look back now, at my girls who are now adults and one even a mother herself. And I'm like, wow, God did that. Because, baby, I don't wanted to walk out several times and leave y'all here by yourself or give y'all to y'all daddy. Right. Right. And so when you think about grace and you think about your journey of overcoming and even being in your becoming season that you're in right now, what does grace look like and feel like to you?
Grace is the unearned, often unexpected kindness, strength, or favor that meets you exactly where you are, not because you deserve it, but because you need it. So I'm gonna attempt to tell a story and make it very plain. I had a role that was very demanding of me, and I was told in that role, I cannot afford to give you grace. And that something in me like died, right? I was like, you can't afford to, in this role, I cannot afford to give you grace. So that means I was expected not to make any mistakes. I could not make any typos. I was already making mistakes and typos. And now to seal the deal, this person says, I'm not giving you no grace. You are in a role that is supposed to support me and help me take me to the another level. So you got to be more. Now I entered into this position already with work-life balance. So I saw all the stuff and I was just like, no, you're not going to have me working 24 hours. But something happens, and this is what I'm working on in this becoming, where you forget, right? And next thing you know, you working 24 hours. You working 7 days a week. You got two phones and you run home to check your email. You can't, you go into the bathroom with your phone, right? Because you don't want to miss anything. And it's just, I believe that I've been always placed in, I so much that I needed to learn. I had to go through all of this. I had to endure this because he's setting me up to make sure I'm a good steward over my millions that's coming. He wants to make sure that I remain the way I am, so that people want to listen to me and talk to me. The gift to be a storyteller, I think, is just amazing. We got to take back some of the negative things that happened to some of these beautiful moments. So when you said the word grace, of course I was like, oh, flashback. I'm not giving you no grace. And I was like, nah, let me try to reframe that. And it is a gift that allows you to just be human, and it's the kindness of a stranger. I think, grace is what your parents give you. They're responsible for your knowledge and what you're supposed to be doing. So, your son wants to cook for the first time and he burns your favorite pot and the food inside of the pot. You got to give him, that's his first time. Look, he took the effort. He was trying. But everybody ain't built like that. What point I was trying to make too is, I have to reclaim the positive connotation of grace. For example, when you're dating someone and there's a song and it reminds you of him, right? And then you break up and you never want to listen to that song again. No, I went back and listened to every Sade album. I went back and listened to every Anita Baker album. India Ari, because you're not gonna make me feel a way when I hear this beautiful music because of a situation we've been through. So
Yes,
that's
ma'am. Period. You're not gonna take the gift of music away from me.
right, right. Because you're like, well, who is he? Who is he with? Girl, with all my heart, I love you. He with, I don't care who he with. I love, stay right here. Never fear. Sing it to yourself in the mirror.
Baby, I'll be singing it to Jesus. You know
Sing
me.
it to Jesus. Right? I will give you all that you need. Promise me you'll never leave, because I
Never
believe
leave.
in this
Yeah, in
love.
this love, okay? In
Sweet
this
love.
sweet love. I have another amazing question. Okay. So, it's when you're in your becoming phase, right? It's always easy to look back and have this hindsight is 2020 perspective, right? But can you remember a time where you really did struggle with seeing God's plan and having hope for the future? You're going through a situation, you're going through treatment, going through chemo, going through whatever. Even because I know you have a DV story too that you haven't really been a lot really public about yet. But did you ever find yourself in those moments where I know you have a plan, but I don't feel it, or I can't see it, or I can't perceive it? And then how did you come to a place of reconciliation in those moments of like doubt?
So, I think it has a lot to do with thinking that you are in control. Like, I want to control everything. I had my there's a big calendar over here, so whenever I reference dates, I'm always looking at the calendar. I had all my appointments, mapped out on that. I was like, okay, radiation is going to end on December 17th. Then, I'm gonna start to heal. I can start traveling again. Blah blah. But COVID did come right after that, so I had to sit back down. And I know there's a lesson in that. So during the process, radiation, I was going every day except the weekends. And then it was around Thanksgiving time, and the guy was like, we're closed Thursday and Friday. You can come back Monday. I'm like, y'all told me I have to come every day. Can't you get some non-American, some Indian or doctor to come in here and finish with my radiation. That, I don't know why that broke me. I think I just wanted to get it done so bad. Like this, now I gotta add 2 days. Now it's not gonna be to the 19th. Oh, wait a minute, that's the weekend. I'm not gonna be done to the 21st. Like, what is this? And it made me feel like nothing matters. You know, people will just say what they need to say. And the thing about it, I had no control over the hospital. I had to go every day. And I just couldn't take it. So that was a time where I close all the blinds, close all the curtains, and I'll do this thing where it may sound like I'm trying not to be here anymore, but I just be like, you know what, Monday I'm good. You kind of messed up. I'm just gonna see you on Tuesday, so I'll try to go to sleep, and then I wake up, and if Tuesday's not right, I'll be like, yeah, I think I catch everybody on Friday, so I'll try to like sleep. I might even try to drink myself into a coma and be like, I'm just gonna take a week. I'm gonna unplug for a week, and then I'm gonna catch y'all, later. By then, y'all have your stuff together. But I don't think in the moment I see it. I think it's the look back. I think when I'm like, that was crazy, but you hear it, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of crazy. I can't really answer that. Like, why was I thinking like that? He's never forsaken me, ever. But this one time, you think this one time because people want to eat turkey and spend time with their friends, you don't think you can't just chill out, go eat turkey, right? Chill out. And I was just like, ugh. So it's always the look back. And I do want to say, as it relates to my becoming, this is where I'm going to be forever. Like, for the rest of my life, I am becoming. Spent the first 55 years of my life trying to please everybody. Now I want to spend the next 55 plus pleasing me. And I learned that if I love on me, then the partner shows up. These partners that's been showing up while you not loving yourself, they didn't want nothing but, transactional kind of, situations, because you don't even like yourself and you're trying to get this dude to like you, girl. It's your do it.
Y'all see why I like Raquel. This is how we be when we together in real life. Just silly little girls, right? And I love that. I love that perspective. But here I would like to offer another perspective. May
All right.
I?
Yeah.
I know sometimes when we're going through a journey, we say that we have a hard time having that hope and that strength and that resoluteness in the moment. But I really think it is a matter of trust. And when your trust has been broken through relationships, where you felt some sense of betrayal by God for the diagnosis, it's hard to trust Him. So when you have these experiences in community, or you have these experiences that kind of deflate you or shut you down in the moment, it's hard to hold on to that anchor in the moment. But I would like to challenge you as you are becoming and as you are growing into this amazing woman, Raquel Hill 2.0, right? That when you have these experiences, these encounters that trigger you, because that's really all they are, triggers of the past or some event that left you feeling like you wanted to close all the blinds until Friday, right? I would challenge you to find your anchor in that moment and say, this hurts right now. I'm very angry right now, but I trust you. And has helped me tremendously, because people are gonna people and life is gonna life. It just is what it is. And we do not have control over today or tomorrow for that matter, right? But in those moments that attempt to make you draw back, make you spend the rest of the week in the house when the world needs light every day, right? When the world needs you to show up every day, you have to know that the enemy of your soul is the one that is trying to get you to draw back into your patterns, right? And so, what helped me to break that cycle, because to me, that's a cycle that has to be broken. Like I mentioned before, I had my ways that I used to cope because that was all I knew. But there came a moment when God says, look, you don't have to give me that. You're either going to trust me or you're going to stay where you are. You're going to keep repeating this cycle. And the moment that I learned to trust him, even when my body didn't feel like I was trusting him, I would say it out of my mouth. This hurts. I'm really angry right now. Oh my God, I really need a drink. Or, oh my God, I really need to smoke something. Or, oh my God, whatever your vice is. But I trust you. And instead, I'm going to go run. I'm going to go for a walk. I am going to cry. I am going to phone a friend, whatever you need to do in that moment to pull you out of that place instantly, instead of staying in that low vibrational place, which we know that's exactly what it is, for days at a time, because then you lose momentum when you're there. And so I want to encourage our listeners. I want to encourage you. I'm speaking to myself that every day we are becoming a different version of ourselves, and triggers and trauma and things from the past show up every day to see and to test how much you really have grown. And so is that something you feel like is helpful advice?
So I'm gonna say yes. So it's just this is what I wrote down while you was talking was she was always here. She was always here. She was just buried in listening to the opinions of other people. I mean, that was the time where I wouldn't even make a decision on my own. I'd be like, "What y'all think I should do this?" And then of course, I would get exactly what I asked for. Them telling me, "No, I wouldn't do that." Or, "Why are you doing all of that?" Da, da, da. Then I started to realize, and I'm so glad that those who fell off have fallen off. I breathe, and I mourn the loss, but I understand why everybody can't come with me. So in also with the becoming, I'm allowing myself to be a lifelong healer, and not being able to set boundaries. And now that I'm healing, I have to realize when something comes up, and this is similar to what you were saying earlier, I have to have the skill set in place to be like, this is not permanent. This is here. You've been through worse. This is nothing. And then look what you just did yesterday. You forgot about that. That's always the biggest thing with me. It's like, look what you did yesterday. I'll be like, oh, that's right. I did do a whole like play, and I'll be like, I'm so nothing works out. And then I'll be like, girl, you did a play. So I think healing on it, it's just gonna, it looks like freedom. It looks like more and more freedom. And what your cage, where you lose your freedom is you're caged in your mind. And I think once you have the words to say, and again, scripture is always good to lean on. And just, I even just like, God, please, please. Well, I felt like I was on stage when I did that, but that was like half sincere, half acting. But even just but you know what? Even when you say that, he'll be like, I'll be like, okay, I know. Be like, God, please, Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, for sure. That's like me, Lord, help. Lord, or Lord, today, Lord, right now, Lord. So we've already kind of talked about the play. So now I really want to lean into it. I think with both of us, we made a very conscious decision to turn our pain into purpose. And we hear people say that all the time, turn your pain into purpose. And I'll never forget when God gave me the idea of birthing benefit concerts for Domestic Violence Awareness Month to raise money for different domestic violence organizations. And I thought it was a great way to, number one, honor my mother's legacy and her memory, but also to kind of help me moving forward. But I also found that when I got to a certain place in my healing journey, that I no longer wanted to do it. It was just weird. It was like I had outgrown acknowledging that part of my journey and part of my story. And it's not that, it's not important, but for me, healing looks like new. It looks like all things new, creating new things, new memories, new experiences that I've never had before. And so I'm getting all these text messages like, it's October. What are you doing this month? I'm like, nothing, taking care of me. So the month of October I've spent on self-care, right? I've like lost 10 pounds and I feel like I'm the strongest that I've ever been. And I'm working out every day and I'm drinking all this water and I'm doing all these amazing things and I'm pouring into myself. And I felt like, even though typically in October I'm doing a benefit concert or some type of speaking engagement or some type of awareness activity, I no longer felt the need to do that. And it doesn't mean that it's not a part of my purpose. It's not a part of like who I am or what I'm going to do in the future. But you just kind of get to a place where you're just like, huh. You know, it's like, do I need that? Right? Is it that interwoven into my identity that I feel like that's who I am, right? And so, you know, you've turned your pain into purpose with the play, and you already alluded that you haven't been able to build that momentum back. But tell me what that void, right, felt like for you over the last few years of feeling like I really want to get back to it, but do I want to do it the same way that I did it before? Or have I evolved so much that now I want to do something different with my brand? Like, what does that look like for you in that journey of birthing something and it not really looking the same way the next year, but as you've sat with it, how you've been able to really process and how you've evolved to be able to birth out something new and innovative around breast cancer awareness?
So I put on a play in 2022, and I was not going to do it. I was magnetized to a narcissist, and I allowed his behavior to overshadow this thing. And I think somebody was like, this is not for you. You have to do this play. When I do the play, it's a one woman story, and it's my story. So it's not like I'm an actress, but so it's not like I'm acting someone else's stuff. I'm actually reliving what I went through. So that is a lot. And when I first set it up and I was talking to the director, I said, let's audition somebody for it. Let me sit back and watch and enjoy. And I even have an idea of how to turn it into like a vagina monologue kind of situation. But I didn't want to go through it, but I pulled it off the shelf to copyright the play and get FCKP&K trademark. It is trademark. And one of the reasons I told someone, I said, I'm not going to do the play in October. I'm going to do it in November because and I'm going to come out and I'm going to say, okay, now that all of that's out the way, let me tell you what really happens. But everybody's like, well, that's when you get the money. That's when you get the thing. You need to do it in October, blah, 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 blah. So I go to stick my head out. And all these pink buses is just coming like, I'll come to our marathon. We're doing this. I'm doing. That's why Fuck Pink was created, right? Because y'all forgetting the big picture. Even I was on hold with Grady earlier, and their recording says it's beyond just the pink ribbon. It's about, oh, now it's beyond the pink ribbon. You know what I mean? Now all of y'all want to be beyond the pink ribbon because the fatalities are going down because the knowledge is out there because of people like me and other people. It turned me into this thing where like maybe FCK P&K is too harsh. Maybe I'm not watering down my brand. That's what it is. You're just not my audience. So I had to just kind of like I want to step out there, but like it's the pink super highway in October. And then I'm no better than anybody else if I'm coming out here just to get your money for my play. So it is evolving to FCK P&K Gives, a 501c3, and it's about connecting with people when they first have their diagnosis. So the relationships I'm building is with the hospitals and the care centers, and it's like right after they got the phone call. And it's like, I think you need to talk to this woman who created a following, and just hear her perspective, because treat it so you can beat it so you can move on, right? So yeah, that was it just everybody's like, I told you the story was a friend of mine came over to my house and he had made these hoodies. He's a dancer, I'm a dancer. And it was like, look at the hoodies I made. And he spread them out. And I was like, oh, I want this royal blue one. No, I made one for you.
It was pink. Oh, okay. I don't want that.
I did have, so as I grow, this is what your question is. As I grow, I come to a reconciliation with it. And I understand that the way people were acting is because I'm someone's daughter, right? My mom thought she was going to lose her daughter. I'm someone's mom. So I'm like, y'all don't be crying. They're like, okay. What if I lose? I was like, you're not going to lose me. But they see it from their point of view. I even had someone, and they meant well. They was like, happy FCKP&K month. And I was like, that's the stuff. But I was like, you know what? If people are thinking about me in October, I need to give them an entry to just be like, I know how you feel about the pink washing, but I do think about you in October. I'm glad you're still with us. So now I'm like, okay, maybe, but it's definitely an attention grabber, right? You have it on your shirt. People are like, what is that all about? Then you get to say, I did it now it's evolved to an attention grabber, but there's also a story behind it. Because one of the things that was happening when I was going through this in the beginning was the same administration that we had was in the House, and he cut off all the aid, so I could not really find out what it was until he unfroze the government. Well, look at what's happening right now. He was in the White House when I was going through it the first time. So the story is not necessarily fading, because there may be people out there right now who, what happened is I went in, I got the exam, and someone's like, yeah, there's definitely a lump. We need you to come back in for a biopsy. And I'm like, all right, no insurance. We're not accepting any insurance. The government's locked down. We're not working. So I'm like, well, how am I going to find out? Is it going to grow? Like, what am I going to do? So those 3 months while the government was shut down, I just changed my lifestyle, and it did not shrink. And I was grateful for that. But I think my point is, people may want to, maybe they don't remember my birthday. Fine. But they'll remember October and be like, yo, is Raquel still around? Go, you're still alive.
Yay! The world can still celebrate The Rock.
So maybe I'll have 2 birthdays, one in May and
I
then
mean,
the October could be another one.
I'm just saying. It's the evolution. And I think as, like I never wanted to like start a domestic violence organization. I only wanted to use like my gift to help fundraise, right? But then, through evolution of self, God started showing me that the void, right? And so for me, how I've evolved in my work is supporting women on the other side of domestic violence, right? When they're in their healing journey. So as a pastor, I do a lot of pastoral counseling with women who are, who have survived domestic violence and they've come out of it. And now God has shown me how to even weave in the maternal health aspect of that, because there is a segment of women who are pregnant that experience domestic violence. And so he's shown me new and creative ways to still do advocacy and offer support without necessarily forming an entire entity around it. Now, there are going to be some things that I do in the future, but again, it's all about, do I want my whole entire existence and identity tied to this thing, right? Right. And that's something that we have to often think about too, right? And I think that's another thing that reminds me of grace, is just understanding that as we grow and as we evolve, there's certain things that are connected to us, or things that we're passionate about, that also grow and evolve as well, right? And so I think if there was anything that I would want to like leave with our audience, is that, pink and purple aren't just colors, right? They are testimonies, right? That God's grace is greater than cancer. God's grace is greater than abuse, greater than despair, greater than feeling stuck, greater than feeling alone. And his grace truly is sufficient enough for us each and every day of our lives. And now there is so much hope. There is supernatural healing. When the government is shut down and you don't have access to resources to get care, I believe that God is a healer. And I believe in the supernatural power of healing, that we don't have to suffer. I believe in the God that shrinks tumors, right? And you'll go back to a doctor's appointment and they'll say there is no sign of cancer, right? I believe that even as we're going through this thing where people are losing their food benefits and food resources, I believe in the God that multiplied 2 fish and some loaves of bread, right? right? He is a multiplier. And I think if we could just begin to focus our attention on him and him being greater than anything that we have faced, and really looking to the hills from which cometh our help, that our help really does come from him. And even though we have been very comical and we have shared our stories and our journeys and all of the things that God has brought us through, that was the whole point of this episode, is really to share that real side of, who we've become and how we've journeyed through these amazing, challenging, crisis that we've been blessed to be able to overcome, that we want you to be able to hold on to God's promise over your life, no matter how you feel, no matter what you're currently facing, no matter what it looks like, because we're testimonies of his goodness. And we're here today to share with you that faith and sisterhood and resilience and pink and purple are still girly colors. But we're not defined by them. We're defined by the word of God, and that is what we choose to stand on. Rock, what you want to leave with our audience today?
So I have more pink in my wardrobe than I've ever had in my entire life. I do think that no matter how far I try to go, he ends up bringing me back to FCKP and K because the work is not done. And like it has iterations, that has a whole ecosystem, and the thought that comes in is like, but you didn't do that. Like, you didn't write the book, right? So what is the book? Because the play is an hour of, it's like 9 months condensed in an hour, but I don't talk about my relationships. I don't talk about what happened with my jobs. I don't talk about any of those things. And that may be stuff that people might be interested in. So every time I just have every time you try to leave, something keeps pulling me back. So I keep getting pulled back to FCK, P and K, and it's a blessing that he gave me, a vision that he gave me, and I owe it to this child that I birthed to feed it, because I don't know what it's going to be, because all I ever did was the play. And I did hear this thing. Someone said to me, "So I guess you're just going to do the play one time. It's my play. I do what I want." But there are people who want to see it. They're like, I missed it. I didn't get an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. And you may see someone else in the role of it, or you may see me doing it. And people just didn't understand that when I was reenacting it, I couldn't see anybody before I did the play. And when I was done, I really wanted to just leave. But because it's so triumphant at the end of the play of how I embrace it, I was in another play. And it confuses people when you're like FCKP and K. They're like, well, why not Cancer? You see October? All of this. Like, people don't even know what they're doing anymore.
50
Let's have
shades of pink. 50
right.
shades of pink.
Let's have
and
a
then
pink.
a little sprinkle of purple.
Right. And then they're like, let's have a pink cocktail during the month, right? That defeats the whole purpose,
Right, because that's actually when you gave up alcohol, right? During
Yeah,
that.
because my cancer was in love with sugar. That's what made it grow, and there's a lot of alcohol in sugar. So yeah, that was the first time.
A lot of sugar and alcohol. You
Yeah.
said a lot of alcohol and sugar.
A lot of alcohol in that sugar.
Oh, I think we are both delirious because we're tired.
A lot of alcohol in that sugar. You know what? That's what you say when somebody's trying to kiss you and they got alcohol breath. You be like, it's a lot of alcohol in that sugar. I don't need your sugar. Like,
Oh my God. You see, there is joy. There is so much joy on the other side of it. And to me, joy, healing, what healing looks like is joy. And this is joy that the world did not give us, and the world cannot take it away. Not a cancer diagnosis, not domestic violence, not all of the other amazing things that show up in our lives every day, being fabulously creative and beautiful women.
amen, my sister.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So again, thank you, Rock, for just gracing us, the Marketplace Passes podcast, for this very special final episode for the month of October. And we just want to say to our listeners, thank you for watching. I hope that you were thoroughly entertained, but you were also inspired and empowered to remember that your future is not defined by your past battles, but by God's promises. And this indeed is your season of grace. We'll see you in the boardroom next time. Have a blessed day.